So, data engineering. Okay. So I have also a lot of experience with data engineering. Have been interviewed for around 3 to 4 positions in 3 to 4 companies. Some of them includes, I didn't remember their names, but some of them for the insurtech, insurance related technology, and one of them related at somewhat like. So let's just get started here with the work. Okay, don't forget about those all of the previous experiences. So in the data engineering section, here in this section, we are going to focus upon some all of the AWS services for the data engineering, and those includes the most important, that the Kinesis data stream, Kinesis data firehose, Kinesis data analytics, uh, streaming architecture. So the Kinesis streaming, AWS batch, Amazon EMR, Elastic MapReduce, running jobs on AWS. So this will be maybe ECS you consider, EMR you consider. Then we have AWS Glue, that's complete ETL pipeline you will be getting there. Redshift you have, then DocumentDB you have, Athena and QuickSight, and serverless things, a big data architecture, building big data architecture. So this is what we are going to cover in this data engineering section, and it would include 12 lectures. So starting from this one, which is going to cover here the AWS Kinesis data streams. Okay, so now we are going into the AWS Kinesis. So Kinesis is going to be an managed data streaming service that can ingest a lot of data at scale in real time. So we can use Kinesis to send our application logs. We can also gather application metrics, IoT sensor information, or click streams, or really any source of data that is going to be needed to be ingested in real time scale. So as such would be, it's great whenever you see a real-time big data application. Kinesis is going to be the perfect choice. It's also great if you have a streaming processing framework such as a Spark. You have Nifi, and so it's big and in the big data world. So data is automatically going to be replicated synchronously across 3 availability zones. So that makes Kinesis a highly available service, that is fault tolerance. So Kinesis is made out of 3 services. The first one is Kinesis Streams, which is to have low latency streaming ingestion at a scale. Then you have Kinesis Analytics to perform real-time analytics at these Kinesis stream using SQL. And then you have Kinesis Firehose to load streams into S3, Redshift, Elasticsearch, and Splunk. So going into the exams, it's extremely important for you to remember the differences between the Kinesis streams, and that we are going to discuss right now. So the Kinesis Firehose that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so as a general architecture point of view, Amazon Kinesis is the service, and we have Amazon Kinesis streams to ingest data. So it could be click streams, IoT devices, metrics, and logs, and this data can go into Amazon Kinesis Analytics to perform some computation, maybe some moving average, understanding if some metrics are out of the normal, that kind of things. So then from the Kinesis Analytics, it's possible for you to send it to Kinesis Firehose. Okay, and the Kinesis Analytics is obviously optional in that case, but Firehose would be helpful to send the data into some stores that you like. For example, Amazon S3 buckets or Amazon Redshift, or wherever you can build your dashboards, or like you can build your alerting, that kind of things. So okay, so now so Kinesis streams, we will see that in the details. So streams are going to be divided into shards, and shard is also similar to a partition, and the shards you have to provision in advance. So your producers are going to produce data to a shard, and consumers are going to consume data from a SAR. Now at the stream level, the data retention is 24 hours by default, but you can go up to the 365 days even, which gives you some data storage that allows you get some replace capability. You also have the ability, because data is stored in Kinesis, never removed from there, okay, except when it expires. You have the ability to reprocess or replay data for last 24 hours by default, or the last 7 days if it's set so. The thing is with Kinesis streams is, the beautiful thing is that the multiple application can consume the same stream. So this is not so something that's possible using SQS, because as soon as I get a message from SQS, it has to be deleted and other consumers cannot see it. But with the Kinesis system, it's different. Multiple application at the same time can consume from the same stream. The idea is that you can get a publisher pub sub paper architecture for streaming data. So you get a real-time processing, and the more charges you add, the more scale you are going to get. And once data will be inserted into Kinesis, it cannot be deleted. It's immutable. Okay, so that's big change of SQS versus Kinesis. In SQS you can delete data, but in Kinesis, as soon as you send the data to a SAR, it cannot be removed. It has to be there for the data retention period that could go up to the 24 hours to even 365 days. So we have two capacity modes for Kinesis streams. The first one is demand. That means you don't have to do any sort of capacity planning, and Kinesis will scale the number of shards automatically based on your throughput requirements. And the other one is provisioned, in which you have to manage the number of shards over time. And this was the first original mode that was provided with Kinesis system. And the idea is that you can also send messages one at a time, and you can do in the batches. The number of shards can evolve over time. Okay, so either on demand or provisioned, there can be reshard or some merges that will happen to increase the number of shards or to decrease the number of shards. The records are going to be ordered per shard, okay, and the way it works, that producer will be producing 2 shards, and then consumers will be reading from them. Okay, so now let's talk about Kinesis producers and consumers. So producers can be different forms, and it would be the AWS SDK, which is simple producer. You can use the Kinesis producer library or KPL, because it has batch capability compression. It has retry. It is compatible API for C++ and Java. So that's a way more powerful library. You have Kinesis agents, which is based upon the KPL, and the idea is that you run this agent to monitor log files and send them to the Kinesis directly. You can write both to Kinesis data stream and Kinesis data firehose using the Kinesis agent. So that makes it a very versatile choice based on the things you are trying to do. So this is the idea. It is okay if you are writing your own application in C++ or Java, KPLs is the way to go. But if you are trying to get log files out of your EC2 instances, then Kinesis agent is the perfect choice. And then what can you read from the Kinesis? Okay, so there are Kinesis consumers. The SDK will give you a simple consumer, Lambda, through event source mapping, as we have seen, is a great consumer. And then you have the KCL, that the Kinesis client library, and it's a great library to read in parallel from your Kinesis system, because it gives you checkpoint and capability and coordinated reads across multiple EC2 instances. So how does that work? Okay, so we have our Kinesis data stream or KDS, and we are going to create a KCL, Kinesis client library app, that is going to be running. Okay, it could be running on premise, it could be running on EC2 instances, wherever you want. Okay, but that KCL app is going to consume messages from the Kinesis data streams, and once in a while, because it has done some work and consume messages, it's going to checkpoint the progress of what it is doing into Amazon DynamoDB. So as you are not able to see, you will be able to see that. So this is what the Amazon DynamoDB is being hidden by my view. Now you may be able to now Amazon DynamoDB. So it's going to checkpoint that progress, what it is doing into the Amazon DynamoDB to say, okay, in this Kinesis data stream, in this shard, I have consumed everything up to that point. And the beautiful thing, and thanks to this, like, is that we can have another KCL app that belongs to the same group to consume messages in parallel from your KDS, Kinesis data stream, and share the work with other KCL app and its client library app. And this app as well can checkpoint its progress into Amazon DynamoDB, and that makes it a really scalable way to read a Kinesis data stream. Okay, finally, some limits to know going from an architectural perspective. So the producer can send 1 megabyte per second or 1000 messages per second per shard. There is a provision throughput exception. Otherwise, that you will get in case you are trying to send data too fast. So if you want to scale your write throughput, you need to add shards. And then there's two modes of consumers. There's two modes for consumers. There's consumers classic. We read at 2 megabytes per second per shard across all the consumers, and you can get up to 5 API calls per second per shard across all the consumers. So that is good, but that can be quite limited, because if you have say 5 consumers, and then can all the read at the limited throughput. And so now there's consumers enhanced fan out, which is a new type of consumption, and you can read at 2 megabyte per second per shard per enhanced consumers, and there's no API calls needed. It's going to be push model, and it's going to have a lower latency. So this is an improvement, and what to give you more scale out of your Kinesis data stream. But if you need more throughput, direct or more throughput for consumer classic, the only way to deal with it is like to add shards. In terms of data retention, you get 24 hours data retention by default, and this can be extended to 1 year. So this is all about the Kinesis data stream here that we learned. Okay, and this is how you see if Kinesis data stream is going to be good fit for you. And I hope as of this all of the information was informational for you, and I will see you in the next lecture.